guests, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure and privilege for me to be integral part of this interesting and exciting evening. Today morning I was in Bloomberg. Thereafter, I was addressing the financial media, including Wall Street, Asia. The press was posting interesting questions, perhaps. If I answer all these questions, we have done the bit, what we need to do today. Bloomberg was very critical, constructively engaging with the changing face of the financial service, the changing face of the world. Yesterday, FOMC was holding a bit on the quantitative easing. What's likely outcome in terms of financial markets? Last week I was in Washington to attend the International Monetary Fund meeting. It was very contentious in terms of global governance. While the Monetary Fund meeting was set in with structured agenda, contentious issues to resolve the budget makeup between politicians was not converging in substance. Essence, the meeting was all not conclusive, it was confusion confounded. That's the world we are seeing today. We live in a changing phase of the world. We live in a defining moment. When Bloomberg asked me this question, I said, we are in phase 3 of the financial crisis. It was in 2008. Financial crisis was visibly shaking the world. It was not confined to Lehman Brothers alone. It was Washington Mutual, it was Wachovia, it was Northern Line. It transcended borders, infected even real economies. What has changed in the last 5 years is liquidity. Financial economies are still reeling under pressure. They have to convert as real. Real economies are redefining the scope and performance. We live in an interconnected, interdependent world. What has changed is printing money, improving the liquidity. The hard money was transcending borders, chasing the stock markets. We have seen the financial market was inflated. World at large has to de-leverage. In substance, developing world and developed world are still coming to terms. The FOMC meeting in June, Federal Reserve Chairman was indicating he will be cutting down the bond buying programs. The result, we saw the financial market was really under pressure. Especially emerging market currencies were taking a downturn. Indian rupee, Indonesian rupiah, Thai baht, name it. Extraordinary deceleration. We have seen the reflection in the currency market. What has changed is liquidity crisis has moved to funding crisis, funding has moved to sovereign crisis, then solvency to a large extent. Contagion impact we have seen in places like Europe. America is still coming to terms. It is recovering. The accommodative monetary policy has helped us to see oxygen has been fed in substance. And monetary policy and fiscal policy has to align to have financial stability and global growth. That's the substance. Government expenditure has to be there. Austerity and value creation are mutually exclusive. We need to set an agenda to provide financial stability, global growth in substance to see economic convergence comes in with politics. That's not happening. You have to fix the unemployment in the United States. Housing market is recovering. There are indications we have seen housing market is recovering. At the same time, government has to spend enough government expenditure for development purpose so that it goes in substance for creating employment. Purchasing power parity has to improve. Consumer price inflation has to come in. All are mutually inclusive to see America cutting down the bond buying programs. Is it going to happen in the near term? The answer is no. The quantitative easing might split Even 2014, it may be 2015, by the time we see the reduction in the key bond buying programs. That's what the reflection we are seeing in the United States. The recent economic outlook put in by, not maybe use the presentation, no need. We've got limited time. I thought we should make it more interactive. We have structured presentation, I said, it need not be. We're all professional and we know that we can communicate with each other. Let's make it more interactive and interactive. The substance is American corporates are cash rich. They're doing extremely well. We have seen the reflection in terms of overall price earning multiples. Earning capacity, futuristic earnings are all well founded. Whereas American government has to look at the predicament. The debt ceiling is an issue. And again, gross debt to GDP is beyond definition. The rating agencies are putting it in substance to see politics and economics whether it will converge. That's not America alone. Look at Europe. The monetary policy is centralized while fiscal policy is decentralized. The birth, it's a question. Is it a deformity? Is it a design error? We don't know. Unless you have a fiscal union, unless politics and economics intertwine to promote value advantage, unless there is a political union, there is no solution. At least in America, you have, apart from Tea Party, your party is politically stable and functional. It's contentious at the height of transparency and democracy and freedom. In Europe, you have a sort of different complexity. Unless you have a convergence between or alignment between fiscal policy and monetary policy, you're not going to get it right. That's what we are seeing in Europe. The Maastricht criteria which is sitting, in terms of gross debt to GDP, were all breached. The deficit financing predicaments are all breached. Today, value creation is at stake. Again, we engage in accommodative monetary policy. You need fiscal consolidation. You need development expenditure. You need real growth. You need real employment opportunities. How do we create? Look at the emerging markets. A couple of months before I was in mainland China, when China was propelling at 7.5% still, world at large was worried about Chinese growth. It is the economic engine of the world today. Incremental consumption in terms of gross domestic product comes out of the emerging markets. 60% of the incremental productivity comes out of the emerging markets. You need Asia to stay strong. And contentious issues between developed and developing world in terms of trade has to be resolved in line with Doha development round. The key program, as I said, when it was subject to reorganization, we are seeing the wider reflection. By this time last year, political makeup in Japan was pronouncing accommodative monetary policy. Trillions of dollars were sitting for open market operations. The result, we have seen weakening yen, and export was taking the real momentum. Stock market was up, as on date, 40%. Currency war is created to create a trade war. That's the substance. We have to understand the dynamics of the changing global governance. Unless we set a universal standard in terms of accounting, valuation, securitization, capitalization rules, we are not going to recover this war in the short or medium term. Phase 1 was 2008. Phase 2 was 2011, when we saw Greece was exploding. Contagion impact was there in Portugal, Italy, Spain. Phase 3 is what we are trying to now accommodate to see how we can unify the global regulatory frame. How do we bring in universal standard to fix all these issues? It is a global issue. We need global solutions. Global growth comes out of consensus between politics and economics. That's what we are seeing. No doubt the world is recovering. No doubt we are converting as real. Financial economies are changing as real. But long way to go. Long way to align in substance to see the world at large will have sustainable performance. Otherwise, it's only meant to be highly volatile. Look at the stock market. The peak of Dow Jones today is reflecting in overall price earning multiples. But America is still really under pressure as an economy. Look at emerging markets. Look at Hang Seng. Look at Nifty. Look at Brazil today, downturn. Look at the currency market. Currency, as I said, is accommodated to manipulate trade, to improve the liquidity. Weakening the currency helps you to have export. That's what every single country is engaged in, every single continent is engaged in. That's not real. That's not a free market balance. That's not going to be sustainable. So trade war and currency war are intertwined. But look at the commodity market. When currency is weak, for example, dollar-denominated commodity like oil and gas, when the currency is weak, oil futures goes up. By hedging the risk, you have momentum going up in terms of commodities. That's the reflection we have seen. When dollar index is weak, oil price goes up. That's what we have seen. Oil quoting today, Brent over $106, and WTI US is almost 94.95. That's what the world today. The world at large is reorganizing. It is getting the reignition to come to terms. That's why G7 has become G8, G8 has become G20. Some of the founding principles which have lessons we have learned out of this crisis: consumer protection, ensuring common man is secure, ensuring universal standards are setting, ensuring licensing regulations apart. We need systemic risk to be measured by monetary authorities. Monetary policy and fiscal policy has to be fixed. And again, tax havens should be supervised. And hoarding is a substance which is decelerating the world at large. Anti-money laundering and combating financing terrorism are all integral part of the overall regulatory break. That's what the world today. If you look at the advanced economies, still they are grossly underperforming. Emerging markets, now they're going to be downgraded. There's a possibility if we step into the QE tampering. We are seeing US itself is subject to downgrade if they are not reaching consensus in Congress as far as debt ceiling is concerned. So how do you see the world? How do you see the economic momentum? We see the world with conviction and character, with global governance and transparency. Those standards are sitting in G20, in Pittsburgh, in London, in Korea, in St. Petersburg last month. They need to be executed. If G20 decisions are executed, global governance will have a say. Character and commitment will come for global growth. That's what the reality is all about. In the midst, the Gulf states, the 6 states are $1.6 trillion block. They are doing exceedingly well. Why? They're all commodity driven. 45% of the world oil, 20-25% of the world gas comes from this place. They are running in fiscal surplus, investable surplus, current account surplus. Taking oil at $75 today, the 6 states is generating $1.6 trillion. As a percentage of GDP, the current account is nearing 20-25%. Fiscal surplus is there in every single state. Government expenditure drives the change. National income is growing in the right direction. Consumer price inflation is moderated. There's an employment, full employment in real substance. That's what the momentum we are seeing. That's what the reflection we are seeing in the economic space and financial stability in the Gulf states. That's my first reflection in terms of global economic outlook. Any questions? Let's be interactive. If you have got any questions on what I said, I'd love to respond. Right. I would assume that you have understood the economic fundamentals of the global makeup. It's an interesting work. It's an exciting work. It's a defining moment we are in. Let's look at the the Gulf states. I gave a flavor of macroeconomic stability. The Gulf states, 6 states put together, namely Oman, the United Arab Emirates, which has got multiple pockets, including Dubai. Many of you must be knowing Dubai is not a country. It is within the integral part of UAE as a federation. Then Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait are GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council states. Enormous amount of natural resources. You have seen the reflection in terms of national stability. You have seen the reflection in terms of overall economic progression. The investment surplus now today is being deployed around the world. In fact, it was supportive for developed world, but it was contentious. Sovereign funds was invested world over, having learned lessons out of the financial crisis. The investable surplus, countries like Qatar has invested in multiple markets in multiple segments as a diversification as a structured solution. That's what we've seen. That is giving them realignment in terms of GDP breakdown. As on date, the Gulf states generate over 60% in oil and gas. By 2020, it will be 50%. And again, balancing the equations by creating structured solutions, by improving the urban development, clearly is going to augment additional opportunities for the Gulf states. FIFA 2022 has been pronounced in Gulf states of Qatar. That's the vision we have. In terms of governance, human development is going in the right direction. And again, social development progression is visible. Education was the key for Qatar's success. Qatar Foundation has been accommodating world-class education institutions, whether it is Cornell or Texas A&M, Virginia Cornell, or Funny Level. Today, education has been well set as a social mission. And that's taking enormous amount of social change. We have seen the reflection today. Qatar is becoming knowledge society. Gulf states are really keen on social progression after the advent of the Arab Spring. It is healthcare and education has been the forefront of the Gulf rulers. Convergence of economics and politics is happening in substance. In terms of the overall economic momentum, topping the list is Saudi Arabia. When I said 1.6 trillion, in Saudi Arabia is 720 billion people. Then comes United Arab Emirates, which produces around $390 billion as GDP. Then comes Qatar, nearing $200 billion. Then comes Kuwait, $188 billion. Then comes Oman, $72 billion. Then Bahrain, $25 billion. Summing up, it's over 1.6 trillion. If you look at the reflection in terms of Kandakon, all are running in Kandakon circles. If you look at the project space as an opportunity, it's a growing momentum. The strength of the Gulf economies are a long-term economic vision. And again, making sure expansionary fiscal policy comes in. That's created enormous amount of opportunity in the project space. Employment opportunity comes in as well. Last year alone, 2013 to 2014 fiscal budget, if you look at it, 377 billion has been committed for government expansion. That's creating opportunity. Topping the list again is Saudi Arabia, 121 billion. Kuwait is doing very well, $116 billion. The government expenditures are all tendered and they're sitting in the bank and can tell you momentum is on. Qatar comes, UAE comes 69 billion, Qatar comes 49 billion, $45 billion. Then comes Oman, 24 billion, and 8 billion is going to be Bahrain. Summing it up, it is $377 billion. Which part of the world you will have Kandakon surplus? Which part of the world you have government expenditure driving the change? That's an opportunity for Hong Kong corporates. That's an opportunity for Chinese corporates. That's an opportunity for financial institutions in Hong Kong and China. That's the economic momentum. If you look at a bigger picture, people mix up the North Africa and the Gulf states. There are turbulence, geopolitical risk, no doubt about it. Arab Spring started way back in 2011, started in Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, Syria now, still. Some of the investable surplus were channelized for supporting the Arab Brotherhood. There's no better functional constitutional framework than freedom and democracy. That's what the Gulf states are believing in, engaging in to support this cause. But Arab Spring has got a long-term economic substance, long-term value advantage to have social progression, gross welfare to the mass. That's what we are seeing. The bigger picture is economic progression, social progression, and political progression. Countries like Qatar are saying, whether it's Darfur or Lebanon or Syria or Libya, behave as a statesman. Today, Arab World today is modernizing its substance in terms of social progression. That's what we are seeing. That's the reflection in terms of Gulf economies. Any questions on the Gulf states? Some of you must be having doubts. Any macroeconomic numbers which I mentioned? Then more. What is this representative of his office is all about? What's happening between Hong Kong and the Gulf states? What's happening between China and the Gulf states? What are the opportunities we can create together? That I should answer to you. We all know the momentum in the Gulf states. We all know the instability in global growth. So Chinese economy today, as I said, is the economic engine. Incremental consumption comes out of the Gulf states. And again, the change in market preference, the globalization, the re-regulation, what was once prescribed as deregulation has become re-regulation today, and technology and consumerism. There's a change in market preference for the Gulf states. That's why today Gulf sovereigns are reignited, focused towards Asia. That's precisely the reason we saw the light 10 years before. We're setting our commercial gates worldwide. Australia, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, China, and again, India. We aspired for it. We applied for a license. The council was asking whether we are going to open our office. We are ready as soon as we get a license. It's an opportunity. And again, when it comes to EU, we have Frankfurt and London. Istanbul is an opportunity as well. We have still commercial gates to see. We not only do banking, we promote the bilateral values. Today, we have pronounced our Hong Kong office for the very same reason. If you look back in the last 4 years, Chinese trade has moved from 72 billion to $155 billion. That's exponential in size. There are investment partnerships, joint ventures taking place in hydrocarbon. Chinese banks are transcending borders and coming. I've got friends here from China Construction. I've got Everbright, Chinese Everbright Bank is here. ICBC has set in their full-scale operations in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, the Qatar Financial Center, and Kuwait as well. That shows how we are coming together. And again, investment partnership in terms of hydrocarbon, very many. I can go on, the list is endless. There are joint ventures. Chinese corporates are moving into the Gulf states. China Hydro, Sina Harbor, they're all coming there to partake in the overall urban development. Airport is expanding, seaport, road, rail, construction, power, water, they're all shaping up in the Gulf states. That's where the Chinese corporates plays a big role. What about Hong Kong? Hong Kong is a very stable and functional economy. Looking at the macroeconomic fundamentals, still your growth is commendable, 3 to 3.5%. And again, you are still running in current account surplus. Your trade is over $1 trillion. Your service is nearly 200 billion in terms of export and import. That's measurable. As a financial center, it's commendable in respects, and we know the governance is full of substance. And that's an opportunity the Gulf states have to realize. By coming here, we will forge this partnership, ensuring we promote the trade, ensuring we promote the investments and joint ventures, ensuring banking comes in, ensuring financial institutions converge to support for bilateral values, two-way traffic. That's our vision. Again, 4 years before, Hong Kong was doing just $5 billion as the bilateral trade. Today is nearly $12 billion. The exports and imports are improving. We've got some businessmen who are exporting to the Gulf states. They import oil or gas or petrochemicals, ethylene or polymers. We're also exporting from here telecoms or computers or telecommunication equipments, and again, machinery tools, jewelry and gems. We have seen the momentum. Momentum is growing. That's an opportunity for us to promote bilaterally. Again, we need to invest here. The affluence we are seeing is percolating down the line for private individuals in the Gulf states. That needs to transcend borders where economic substance and sustainable growth is there. That's the opportunity. By we setting up here, we will be in a position to bridge the gap. By setting up here, we will be in a position to directly finance the Chinese companies, Chinese corporates, and again, ensuring we support RMB. Hong Kong investments did mention, that's an important development in the defining war. We have seen the dollar index is getting realigned time and again. Economic dependency is intertwined to currency as well. Currency is a barometer of the economy, supposed to be. That's not part of global governance today. We need to secure the businessman, for those who deal with the Gulf states. The RMB is shaping up well. Yuan is shaping up well. There is a currency swap over 5.5 billion arranged with central bank PAE so that the traders can settle in yuan. That's the indication. And again, it will get mature over the period of time if we start realizing the opportunity yuan has got. It's going to get appreciated, there's no question. That's an opportunity for you to see it. Instead of investing in a weaker currency, there is an opportunity for us to see. And here is a currency which is getting appreciated, and trade settlements can come in. We, as an institution, can sign up agreements with financial institutions, local Chinese local bank, and then promote the currency. That's there, definitely in a way forward. We invite the Hong Kong businessmen to come to Qatar or the Gulf states. They explore the opportunities. Doing business in the Gulf states is easy. Tax system is flat. If you come to Qatar, taking a subsidized land and again creating an infrastructure of your own, Doha Bank is committed for funding or non-funding. And again, flat tax 10%, that's it. Cost of capital is cheaper. Cost-effective borrowing. And again, you can have good labor resource. You can bring in your know-how and experiment, explore. And again, repatriate money is very easy. That's what we want you to engage in. The economic momentum we are seeing in the Gulf states, we want you to partake in substance. We want you to come to the Gulf states. As I mentioned, I gave an indication of the project space. That's just a beginning. The modernization is on. Trillions of dollars have got government expenditure budget for the next 5 years. That's going to be an important opportunity. Which part of the world you have sustainable economic performance and trillions of dollars committed for government expenditure? That's important for you to realize. And we want to be the professional intermediary to support. We want to invite the business community. We want to invite the chamber here as well as China. Come and explore. We will host you. We want to make sure we showcase the opportunities in terms of project space, project advisory, and domestic franchise will support it funded or not funded. Trade, of course, we are going to facilitate further. That's our vision. That's our shared vision to see that we are here. And whether it's China as a mainland or Hong Kong as intermediary, we are going to converge in substance to see how best we can add value to each other. That's precisely the reason why we are setting our flag today. We will continue to work towards bilateral values in terms of trade, investment, banking, and finance. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Everything's understood. We must be having some questions. I will walk across. If you have any questions, you can take me offline as well. Me and my colleagues are committed to support you. And that's what we have done. There's Toyota or Marubeni in Japan, Keppel or Kaplan in Singapore, Hyundai or Samsung in Korea. We are there to support them. We want to invite you and explore yourself. We are at your service. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kindness.